Rent was a pathetic adventurer who lived a normal life until a dragon ate and turned him into a skeleton. Upon discovering he can level up infinitely, he becomes the strongest adventurer ever and rizzed up a freaky scientist who wants to experiment on him. On the day he turned, Rent ventures solo into a labyrinth to get treasures, but inside, he stumbles upon a hidden passage leading to an unexplored area. He gets excited, hoping that there are valuable treasures waiting to be found. But the moment he enters a giant, mysterious chamber, his excitement disappears as what he is facing is a living, breathing dragon. As the dragon lunges forward to devour him, every dream he ever had of reaching mithril class crumbles faster than Bonnie Blue's odds of entering heaven. But sometime later, Rent awakens, only to find that he's no longer human, but is now a skeleton. He considers returning to town, but knows he would be purified the moment he shows his clapped skeleton face, so with no other choice, he grabs his sword and begins making his way out of the dungeon. Along the way, another fellow skeleton pops up, and Rent rushes at it, determined to fight, but the weight of his sword pulls him down before he can strike properly. The skeleton attacks, but it slips and collapses. In that moment, Rent channels his spirit energy, finally mustering enough power to crush the skeleton with his blade. But then, the crushed skeleton glows and its energy moves into Rent's body, restoring the energy he had just spent defeating it. He recalls a conversation with his hot and busty friend Lorraine, who once explained that skeletons can evolve into ghouls through something called existential evolution. Rent realizes he can achieve that, so he makes it his mission to defeat every monster in the labyrinth and transform into a ghoul himself. For days, he hunts down skeletons and monsters, slowly getting stronger, while still determined to achieve mithril class adventure. Then, after defeating a slime, its energy flows into him, triggering a transformation in his body. Before he knows it, Rent becomes a ghoul. He gets excited, realizing his progress, and he vows to keep progressing, knowing that one day he can evolve into a higher being capable of blending in with humans. Now seeing that he has an actual mouth, he tries to speak, but instead sounds like a zombie missing chromosomes, so he starts practicing to speak properly. Later, while Rent continues slaying monsters, he hears sword noises near him. When he checks it out, he finds an adventurer he doesn't recognize and assumes that she is a rookie adventurer. He watches as she struggles against a skeleton and sees how both determined and clumsy her movements are. But then, she manages to defeat the creature, all the while Rent watches from a dark corner. For a moment, he almost steps forward to greet her, but the thought dies quickly when he remembers what he looks like now. So instead, he stays hidden, quietly observing her. Just then, he realizes she's stepping into a dangerous hall where another undead skeleton emerges, ambushing her. She struggles against it and gets cornered against a wall, but just as she's about to be clapped dead, Rent charges in, making a dramatic entrance. The skeleton abandons Rena and turns its fury toward him. But with a single powerful slash, Rent defeats it. With the danger secured, Rent approaches Rena to check if she's alright. But because he looks as ugly as you losers, the girls get terrified, so Rent lowers his weapon and speaks as clearly as he can to introduce himself as an adventurer who somehow became undead. Still a bit scared, the adventurer thanks him for saving her, but hesitantly asks if he plans to unalive her. He repeats that he doesn't and instead asks for her help to get some clothes so he can safely return to the city of Malt. She suggests getting him a robe to conceal his body, which Rent thinks is a great idea, so he hands her a few coins to buy it. Before leaving, the rookie adventurer introduces herself as Rena and promises to repay the debt she owes him. She exits the dungeon cautiously, leaving Rent alone once again. A few hours later, to Rent's surprise, Rena actually comes back. She presents him with a cloak that's both plain and practical, something no one would look at twice, and Rent sees as perfect for him. He's genuinely pleased, thanking her as she cheerfully hands him gloves and boots as well. After putting everything on, Rent admires how easy it is to move in his new gear and even acknowledges that he looks cool. But when he catches his reflection, his ghoul face is still exposed, ruining his drip. Hearing that, Rena quickly pulls out a dope-looking mask she bought from the market. The moment he presses it against his face, the mask fuses to his skin as if magnetized. That surprised him, and when Rent tries to pull it off, it won't budge. Rena explains that she bought it at an unusually cheap price at the market, and now they see that the reason why is that it is cursed. Rent tries using his divinity to get it off, but it only drains his power, so he now needs a priest to get it off him. Seeing that, Rena apologizes profusely for bringing him a cursed item, but Rent reassures her that it's fine, as he needed it to cover his face in the first place. Then, in a surprising moment of courage, Rena takes his hand. She admits she's not afraid of him anymore because she can tell he's not a bad person, but Rent notices her trembling and gently tells her she doesn't have to force herself, as she'll get used to him in time. Together, they make their way back to Malt, and as they're about to enter the gate, Rent warns her that if they find her helping a monster like him enter the city, she will be stripped of her adventure, but she tells him that, after how he saved her, she's willing to take the risk. Then at the gates, as they're about to enter, the guards let Rena in but stop Rent for looking suspicious. Thinking fast, Rena tells the guards that Rent looks chopped and has a skin disease after he got into a Bonnie Blue line filled with neckbeards who never showered. Hearing that, they let Rent into the city of Malt. Once inside, Rena asks what Rent is planning to do next, but before she finishes, Rent has already disappeared. From a high vantage point, he watches her search for him, thanking her for her kindness and silently deciding to meet her again when he's more human-looking. That night, Rent visits the old busty Lorraine's home. He finds her dozing peacefully on the sofa and wakes her. When she opens her eyes, he reveals his ghoul form to her. Lorraine stares in shock before asking what on earth happened to him. Then, Rent tells her everything that happened, and Lorraine listens in stunned silence. Despite all her years of studying monsters and magic, she admits she's never heard of anyone who got eaten by a dragon and turned into an undead afterward. Curious, she asks whether the dragon is still in the dungeon, and Rent replies that it's already gone. Rent is impressed at how calm and composed Lorraine is despite how he looks and the absurd story he just told her. Then she asks if he still considers himself the same Rent now that he's a ghoul. Rent pauses at her question, lost in thought, and says that he doesn't really know. Lorraine smiles faintly, saying that's exactly the kind of vague answer the old Rent would have given. She decides to set that question aside for now, and instead asks what he plans to do next. Rent declares that he intends to keep working as an adventurer to achieve his dream of becoming a Mithril-class adventurer, but he admits he can't go back to the guild looking like your ugly ex's uglier new boyfriend. Hearing that, Lorraine offers to accept job requests for him and orders him to stay at her place, considering hotels and inns would kick his ugly face out. However, she adds one condition for her to help him, which is for Rent to help her with her research, considering that in history, no scholar has ever had the opportunity to study a monster capable of existential evolution firsthand. Rent looks at her with suspicion and asks if she's planning to shove things inside him for her research, and without missing a beat, she says she'll only take small samples of flesh from time to time. The next day, Lorraine returns from a trip to the guild and gives Rent a pouch of money, which is the payment for the slime fluids and monster materials he collected. He's shocked at how much it is, and she explains that his materials are exceptionally high quality, perfect for making beauty potions, and she's paying him directly to cut out the guild's commission fee. With the money in hand, Rent heads to the blacksmith's shop, the three-pronged spear, and on his way there, people look at him and are creeped out by his looks. Inside the blacksmith, the receptionist reacts the same way, but when Rent starts speaking and apologizes for his appearance, that calms down the receptionist. Rent then hands his battered sword to the receptionist, explaining that he needs a replacement. She examines the weapon and notes how badly it's damaged. She can see that the user uses magic and spirit energy on the sword, but when Rent says that he also uses divinity, her eyes widen, saying that he's only the second person she's ever known to wield all three power sources. He asks her to keep that a secret, and she promises that she will. She then adds that the blacksmith, a man named Cloak, will need several days to reforge the weapon. She adds that Cloak will likely want to talk to him during the process. Rent agrees, but tells her to contact Lorraine if she ever needs to reach him, and hearing that name, the receptionist is in awe of who Rent has as friends. Meanwhile, back home, Lorraine dives deep into her research. She reads about the ghouls, who are lesser undead creatures with incredible physical resilience, even capable of surviving decapitation. She tries to find what Rent is experiencing, but the only thing she reads is that there are powerful monsters who can turn humans into ghouls, but in the process, the humans are stripped of their personalities and emotions. Reading this, Lorraine realizes Rent is unique as a ghoul that is different from any ghouls in recorded history, but he still isn't sure if the being before her is truly the same Rent she once knew. She remembers the first time she met him, and back then, Rent was still a rookie assigned to accompany her on a quest for her research. At the time, she viewed the world as dull and predictable, even though she was the youngest ever to achieve the title of the Great Doctor, which allowed her to register as a silver-class adventurer. When she traveled to find the rare herbs she was looking for, she was surprised to see that Rent was more capable than she was at handling the herbs. But just as she marveled at his skill, a goblin attacked. Rent immediately shielded her and calmly instructed her to use a fire spell, which she did, roasting the goblin to a crisp, making Goblin Slayer proud. After calming down, Rent pointed out that, despite being a silver-class adventurer, Lorraine doesn't seem very experienced in battle, and he confessed that the reason he was tasked to protect her was because everyone was worried about her safety. Seeing that Rent was reliable and even knew about herbs, Lorraine asked him, "An adventurer lower than her? to teach her what he knew, and that became the start of their relationship. Meanwhile, Rent meets the blacksmith Clope, who assures him that his sword will be reforged into something extraordinary. The receptionist lends Rent a temporary sword, one that Rent can use alongside magic and spirit energy. Clope then offers a handshake, and while Rent hesitates at first, he shakes the man's hand and walks away. But as he leaves, Clope quietly tells his assistant that he knows that Rent is cursed, and he fully understands why Rent refused to keep it a secret, not wanting to cause other trouble. So both Clope and the receptionist can only wish him luck and hope for the best for him. Later, during dinner, Lorraine tells Rent that he's fundamentally different from ordinary ghouls, likely due to his ability to evolve. She asks what he thinks he'll become next, and he admits that he doesn't know, but says his goal is to evolve as close to being human as possible. Lorraine smirks and suggests he return to the dungeon to slay more monsters. Afterward, Rent is back in the dungeon, and he spots a goofy-looking adventurer moments away dying from a slime. He intervenes and destroys the creature in one swift move. The adventurer thanks Rent for the help, and while Rent notices the cut on his arm, he leaves the adventurer behind, worried that he might be a scammer who is looking to rob him. But as Rent is walking away, the man is begging Rent to form a party with him. He explains how he was a restaurant owner who was forced to be an adventurer to pay off his debts, and hearing that, Rent changes his mind and allows the man to carry his backpack instead. The rookie celebrates as if he's just won the lottery and eagerly follows Rent deeper into the dungeon, but Rent feels worried when he sees the man's injury. Then, Rent leads them to the paw where he fought the dragon, and once inside, the adventurer is in awe to see such a place exists. He then discovers a hidden passage there, and he suggests that they report to the guild to get profits. However, Rent tells the man that he should do it himself to get his profit, as Rent doesn't care about the glory. They enter the secret passage to find treasures but step into an empty room. While the man happily enters, Rent sees a magic circle inside and realizes that only he can see that. In an instant, the rookie disappears, and Rent recognizes the circle as a teleportation circle that would probably send people off to a lower floor with tougher monsters. Rent initially thinks of just leaving him behind, but when his morals tell him otherwise, Rent steps on the circle and gets teleported as well. When he pops up on the next floor, he sees the rookie unconscious on the floor, and right beside him stands a giant skeleton. And in that moment, Rent realizes that he's in a boss room, and he screwed up. While reinforcing his body with magic, Rent strikes at the monster's leg, yet his attack barely scratches the bone. The creature retaliates with a thunderous punch, forcing Rent to dodge again, and he realizes that his spiritual energy has no effect at all. He notices that the dungeon doors have sealed shut, and he's trapped in this Elden Ring boss fight unless he defeats the boss. For a moment, Rent feels fear in his soul, but remembering his goal to become a Mithril-class adventurer, he decides to lock in. He pours his divine energy into his sword, and he unleashes a slash, cutting down the monster's legs, sending it crashing onto the floor. In that moment, Rent sprints up its massive form and brings his sword down with a final explosive swing that shatters the monster's skull. When the dust settles, he kneels beside the unconscious adventurer he saved earlier and uses divine energy to heal his wounds. When the man wakes up, he's shocked to see the giant skeleton defeated. He asks if Rent was the one who defeated the giant skeleton, and Rent confirms it and shows him the enormous magic stone he earned as proof. Rent then offers the man the valuable magic stone in his hand, in exchange for the man helping him handle errands in town, like visiting shops in the guild. The man insists that's too one-sided, so Rent adds another condition that he gets to eat for free at the man's restaurant whenever he wants. Hearing that, the man starts tearing up and agrees, swearing that he'll never let his restaurant go bankrupt again. Rent hands over the crystal and sends him home through the teleportation circle. He then notices another teleportation circle nearby and considers exploring it, but decides to leave it for later and return home instead. After Rent gets out, the man brings Rent to his restaurant, the Red Dragon Tavern. Just then, the man's wife Isabel pops up, and the man proudly tells her how Rent saved his life and displays the giant magic stone he got from Rent. The couple hug, and the man introduces himself as Loris, and Rent makes him promise to keep his identity a secret before introducing himself in turn. On his walk home, a wave of darkness suddenly clouds Rent's mind. He feels an irrational frustration bubbling inside, where a part of him almost wishes Loris had been a lying scumbag. The feeling intensifies when he steps into Lorraine's house. She greets him warmly for coming home, but Rent suddenly hugs her, which makes her flustered. She wonders if he's either drunk or feeling freaky with his glizzy, but suddenly, he bares sharp teeth and sinks them into her shoulder like a vampire. Blood sprays across the room as she shoves him off, shouting his name and demanding to know if he's still himself. Rent's eyes flash wildly before his pupils return to normal for a second, and Lorraine realizes he's regained control. She quickly casts a divine sleep spell and Rent collapses to the floor. Hours later, Rent wakes up to find Lorraine watching over him, and she calmly asks if he felt something else controlling him. He nods, saying he's himself again and apologizing for what happened. When she asks what he remembers, he admits he recalls attacking her, and confesses that both she and Loris looked disturbingly appetizing to him at the time, like they're pieces of steaks, which made him go crazy. However, Lorraine says that she fully expected this, knowing that Ghoul craves human flesh. She then tells him to rest up, knowing that her spell must have damaged him. But Rent knows she's hiding something, so he asks her to show him the wound he caused her. Lorraine shows it to him, revealing a horrible chunk has been bitten off, and feeling responsible for it. Rent insists on healing her himself using divine energy. As his power mends the wound, she's amazed that he can now use divinity that well, which heals her throughout. When he finishes healing her, Lorraine notices something different about him. She realizes that his skin looks more human than before, and the cursed mask on his face has changed shape. Rent doesn't like how his new look leaves his crusty-looking mouth exposed, but in that moment, the mask shifts again, covering the lower half of his face. Lorraine observes this and concludes that the mask must respond to his thoughts and desires. Testing her theory, Rent thinks about how he's scared to get a glizzy in his mouth, and the magical mask returns back into its previous form. But when they try removing it altogether, nothing works. Then, Lorraine points out that his speaking sounds clearer, and Rent guesses that it's because he evolved after slaying the giant skeleton. But it makes no sense to him, considering that he previously evolved directly after defeating a monster. After thinking, Lorraine suggests that it might be because he fed on her blood, which evolved him from a ghoul to a creature called a ghast, who are usually weaker servants of vampires, but have similar traits. Lorraine explains that monsters undergoing existential evolution usually become stronger, more refined forms of their previous selves. She asks him why he thinks he transformed from a skeleton into a ghoul. Rent can't answer, so she answers for him, saying that his transformations reflect his deepest wish, which is to become a human. Rent asks why he hasn't evolved straight into a vampire if that's the most human-looking form. Lorraine believes that just like how he has to slowly reach higher ranks as an adventurer, he has to advance to different stages before becoming a vampire. This gives Rent hope, realizing that if he continues to evolve, he might eventually reach the level of a vampire or even return to being human. Lorraine adds that there must be a special condition for that transformation, just like how consuming her blood triggered his previous evolution. She promises to help him, but in trade, she demands that they do wild experiments where she goes through his every crack and crevice from top to bottom to see his changes. The next morning, Rent trains and feels himself stronger, but as he wields his sword, he realizes that it's busted. He goes to Cloak to return the borrowed weapon, and the man is not impressed that his sword is now completely broken. He asks what happened, and when Rent explains that he had to charge it with divinity to go against a giant skeleton, Cloak becomes more understanding. Rent then reveals that he fought the giant skeleton in an unexplored area, and hearing that, Cloak agrees to lend him a new sword, curious of where it would take him. Back at Lorraine's house, she uses some rare materials to create a deadly poison for Rent to try, one that is capable of terminating even a Red Grizzly or even Mark Henry. But when Rent drinks the whole vial, he doesn't feel anything apart from it, tasting like unwashed donkey cheeks. And this leads Lorraine to conclude that poisons don't affect him at all, even though healing potions and herbs still do. She then asks him more questions, and Rent admits that as a ghast, he doesn't feel the need to sleep. And when she asks about his appetite, he confesses that he feels a weak hunger for human blood and flesh. Hearing that, Lorraine hands him another vial, which he assumes is another poison, but when he opens it, he freezes in shock to find that it's blood. Lorraine explains that it's her own blood, preserved to last longer with a spell, which she prepares for Rent to consume occasionally to stop himself from going berserk like before. Rent sips a single drop of the blood, and he's surprised by how delicious it tastes, and is pleased when the desire and hunger for humans inside him disappear. When Lorraine asks if that's all he needs, he assures her that one drop is enough and promises to make it last. Then, Rent tells Lorraine that he is planning to visit the guild and pick up a job before heading back into the labyrinth to evolve some more. Lorraine reminds him that he'll need to show his adventurer identification to get a job, and warns him that if anyone at the guild sees his monstrous appearance, it'll cause chaos. Rent dismisses her worries, saying no one cares about a bum, low-ranked bronze adventurer anyway. But Lorraine argues otherwise, pointing out that despite his low status, everyone at the guild admired him for helping beginners and taking on unpopular jobs. She even reveals that the guild had been considering recruiting him as a staff member. Rent insists that he has no plans to retire or work for the guild, as he just wants to keep taking quests himself to grow stronger. Lorraine agrees, but says his sudden return from the dead will definitely cause trouble. So, She suggests he register under a new identity. Rent reminds her that it is against the guild rules to register twice, but Lorraine brushes him off, assuring him that no one would ever find out, and if they do, they won't have any issues, knowing that Rent is known to be a good adventurer. So later, Rent walks into the guild hall in his cover, and when he sees the receptionist, Sheila, he feels happy and nostalgic. He then approaches her and says that he wants to register as a new adventurer. Sheila hands him a form, and as he fills it out, he recalls his first time doing this, and how clueless he was back then. But his goal, even back then, stayed the same. Then, when Rent returns the completed form, Sheila is surprised that he put in the name Rent Vivier, and she mentions that she knows another Rent.